If you are a business owner or entrepreneur, how can you get the most out of and or capitalize on events? Find out on today's episode of the Knowledge Boner Experience. What up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Knowledge Boner Experience. As always, I have my co-host, Wally and Phung here, and we have a pretty cool topic today. In the previous episode, you all know that Wally and Phung have gotten into events pretty heavily. They host their own events the first Thursday of every month, which I'm pretty excited for. We have it coming up this Thursday. Hopefully I can make it because kids are out of summer. So I really want to go to that because it's a lot of fun. But not only do they host events, but they practice what they preach. They also go to events, and just got back from California. You guys went to a really with an OG. I'll let you guys kind of explain like who hosted the event and why you guys went there. So why don't you give the audience clarity on it before we kind of give them the gold nuggets from the event?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start first, and then if I leave anything out, you definitely hop in, Phung, to help out. But cool. So the guy's name is Joel Bauer. He markets himself as the mentor's mentor. And so what that means is that a lot of the people who are big online mentors to plenty of people like these huge brands online, he's actually trained them. So for example, Russell Brunson, Joel Bauer has actually trained Russell Brunson in his processes, and everybody, who does internet marketing now knows Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels and stuff. Russell Brunson actually credits Joel's processes to helping him do like hundreds of millions of dollars, which is awesome. He's also trained the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, in speaking, which I think is phenomenal. Even Tony Robbins. So he shows pictures of young Tony Robbins whenever he was training him then. Oh, it's shaking. Okay, cool. So just a lot of these speakers and trainers and a lot of these people that online, even Les Brown, right? He's trained a lot of these speakers in converting and selling from stage and converting and selling from events, if that makes sense. So just a really talented guy. I've been doing this for I think like 40 years now, or like 35 plus years. Just an OG of OG for sure. Did I leave anything out, Phung? Did you want to?
I know Ping Jun gets a lot of credit to, I think you said he leverages him as well, but I think what's crazy is, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Ping Jun say that when Joel Bauer taught Russell Brunson the webinar, like, cause Russell Brunson's known for the perfect webinar, but it was like only like 80% or 20% or something crazy. Like there's a lot that wasn't like taught to him yet. And that was just like kind of like his version, but Joel like has like the full version. And then so Ping Jun was like, okay, well, fuck it. I'm going to go to my mentor's mentor, and I'm going to go learn like the rest of it and go out and capitalize. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So Ping Jun didn't say that. Joel said that.
Okay. Gotcha. So that came from Joel.
Yeah. Even Joel he's the mentor's mentor, right? Like everyone equates if they've been speaking on stage in any fashion or form, they would have eventually gotten coached by Joel by a proxy, because he's actually trained the other speakers to teach speakers how to speak.
Yeah, for sure. So with you two, obviously, because I think, is this your first Joel Bauer event or second?
So this is my third. My third event.
Third. Okay. So what for you two specifically, right? There's obviously a lot of people out there who are hosting events and teaching things. What stood out to you two the most to make you be like hooked into Joel?
I would love Phung to go first on this, and actually, because I've been a few times. I'm curious to hear his perspective first.
So for me, Wally introduced me to Joel. Wally went to a Master of Platforms by Ping Jun actually in 2018 and attended that. With Ping Jun because he was a huge Ping Jun fan. He showed up for Ping Jun and stayed for Joel, right? And then
because Ping Jun's Asian too, is there a little bias going on there?
Right. We got to think about it too, right? There's not many Asian marketers out there too that's actually worth it. I mean, I'll say it. There are not many Asian marketers out there that is worth a damn that's actually putting their money where their mouth is, right? Like say what it is, what you see, but I don't see any Asian dude out there marketing as hard as Ping Jun and people getting the actual results. It's a lot of the time some of these gurus are in there just to make money quick, right? But anyway, that's total side tangent itself. But Wally went to go to a Master of Platforms event, and Ping Jun, Wally been following Ping Jun for a little while, and then he stayed for Joel Bauer, right? And then Wally was like, hey, this is an amazing event. He actually, taught Ping Jun this. He also taught Tony Robbins. He also taught Russell Brunson's on certain things. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'll just go. And we'll go the next year, essentially, because Ping Jun hosted another event. And Wally's like, I got to go see him again. You got to come see him. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, we'll see what it's about, right? I wasn't sure and didn't know what to expect. And to kind of give everybody context itself too, right? Like, I wasn't a big mentor type person either, right? Like, I love going to events and stuff like that to learn, because I wasn't sure, how some of this process works, but I learned by being in that environment and just being exposed to those things. It didn't necessarily was like looking to be coached by anybody, because I was like, I'll figure it out, no problem. So going to the event, he is the first person that I actually wanted to be coached by. Kevin being the second person, Kevin Hutto being the second person I wanted to be coached by, because after seeing Joel's event, I was like, holy crap, like the experience that he has in general, just in life and the way he speaks, like really resonated with me. And so how he like approaches just life in general was like, oh, okay, I resonate with this guy. I really like this type of feel, what he's trying to do and what the message he's trying to give. And not only that, he even said it in the Master of Platforms event that he didn't have to be there. Right. I think that's probably the biggest part for me of like, he's like, I don't have to do this because, well, at the time he was 58 or, in his late 50s, he's like, now he's 61. He was like, oh, I do this because I want my students to be successful. Like, you can either choose me or choose Ping Jun. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like,
just to add something right there too, bro. And by the way, this is a free event, right? Yeah. This is 100% free. Okay.
You didn't pay for it. Okay.
No, not a paid event.
No, yeah, this is a 100% free event, right? Like, we paid for tickets to airplane, get there, a hotel, and lunch and food to get there,
and time. Yep.
2-day, 10-hour immersive event for free that he put on. So the fact that he doesn't care, he's like, I do this because I want people, kind of like Alex Hormozy, right? Puts out free information because there's a lot of broke people out there. Joel's like, I'm going to do this event and actually show you how to do it in person and properly. This may be the last time I do it, because he doesn't have to. He just doesn't have to. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
was there at least an upsell at the end of the event, like most events, for him to capitalize on for it being free?
Obviously, the way he positions it too is pretty interesting too, because the benefit of coming to live events, what a lot of people don't think about, is that when you buy something online, you're actually paying retail price. Like, you're going to be paying that full $1 ticket online every single time, but you're incentivized to come in and learn how the process works, see it done in person, and then you get, you offer a huge discount in the in-person event. That's the biggest part of events too, that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah. So what was the, for being the third one, what was kind of like the hook for this one that made you guys be like, okay, I know it's free, I want to go and travel. Because obviously they have different topics, right? So what was that thing for you? And why was that so important for you, where you guys are at with your events and your business right now? That was like, okay, we have to go to this thing.
Yeah, I totally want to hop in here for a second. So just to give context for sure, so this being my third so the first two events were called Master of Platform. So both of them hosted by Ping Jun, both of them hosted by Ping Jun and Joel Bauer, right? So it was a double hosted event. This one was specifically a Joel only event, right? Which I thought was really interesting. And I hadn't been in a Joel only event before. And I was like, well, he totally crushed it in the Master of Platforms the 2 times that I went, and I learned a lot. So like, what would it be like if it was a 2-day event with just Joel?
So no guest speakers.
Just
that's badass. That's unique, because it's kind of like, hey, I've been this expert for so long, and people have me come to events and I show up, but like, you get just me. That's interesting.
Yeah. What was interesting about it too is that because the last time I saw Joel was in 2019 at the second Master of Platforms event. That was the first time I've ever saw him, right? And I wasn't sure if he would ever run an event or anything like that, but I've been following him on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And next thing you know, literally, I think like 2.5 weeks beforehand, I get an email, and he's like, his webinar, or like his online free training that he did, was called Butts and Seats at Events. And I was like, oh shit, like we got an event coming up. Like, let me attend this training and stuff like that and see what's going on. And then at the end of that training of doing it online, he said, I'm doing a live in-person event. And I literally sent Wally an email. I was like, Joel's doing an in-person event. We have got to freaking go. I said, let's at least think about going. And Wally's like, I just bought tickets.
Yeah, so it's funny because like so for this particular event too, another reason that I was attracted was because so it's the event was called Passion to Profit, which the title by itself was okay to me. But what was interesting is that this particular event is the event that made him who he is today, if that makes sense. He's been doing this event for 20 years. He hadn't done this specific event in 10 years.
In 7.
Yeah. Or 7 years, I'm sorry. So this is the first time he's done the event that made him who he is in 7 years. So I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta see what it is about.
Butts and seats. That's some really good copy. What do people? What do you want? Butts and seats.
Yeah, 39 years worth of experience of selling and marketing and stuff like that. Like, he is a master copywriter.
For sure. Cool. So let's walk us through. Obviously, I think what's cool about the psychology of it is, just for everyone here knows. So I guess Joel Bauer hosted the event himself, and I don't know if they knew this before going to the event or they found out when they showed up, but they even have you signed an agreement saying that, hey, everything, all the badass stuff I'm going to teach you today for free, you can't share to the public, right? It's like inclusive, right? Which just, some crazy psychology to that, right? Now, how intricate of a legal thing that is, like, who cares? Like the psychology behind it is what's pretty powerful. So I don't know if you guys knew about that before going to the event or when you showed up, but so that's pretty unique. But for those that are listening, right? So walk us through what was your game plan at the event? And for those that do want to go and travel and go to events, how can they get the most out of it and capitalize on it? And then we'll go into kind of like where you see a lot of people screw up that do go to big events like this. So what was y'all's game plan going to the event, right? So Phung, I know you're really big on networking. So I know y'all wanted to hear from learning from Joel. What was kind of going through your mind? Was it just to capitalize on Joel, or am I here? I'm gonna shake hands and network at the same thing and get people to go to my event, or what was the kind of the game plan going into it?
So I'll go ahead and just chime in. Mine will be pretty quick, right? Since because you're right. Typically, I'll go to events because I want to talk to people, I want to network and stuff like that. In fact, I did zero networking. I specifically came to this event to learn because I've been to plenty of events where I see speakers and they only give you like one particular type of strategy that may help you, and then you have to buy their course and then do more research and stuff like that. I already knew coming in because from the first one we went to Master Platforms, there was no photography or videography there. So I already knew coming in that there was no photography or videography there. And that meant that to me was the indicators, like, I need to be here to learn, because if that is, even it is a psychology tactic, like, I need to sit and learn from these events, because it's been a while since I learned something from an event. And then I have pages and pages of notes, right? Like, for me to say I did zero networking is like, networking wasn't even on my brain.
Was there a mic guy, like an MC?
Nope.
Interesting.
Just Joel.
Cool. That's pretty badass. What about you, Wally? What was your game plan?
Yeah, so actually it's kind of similar. Actually, I said this to him before we left, and I was like, really? I attend plenty of networking events and I talk to plenty of people already. I'm not necessarily interested in spreading my network, as I'm literally here to absorb information and like learn, right? Like, how is he running the event? Like, learning from the environment. Like, what's the room look like? What's the psychology? What are people's faces? Like, what's the reactions? Looking at all of the dynamics of the presentation and looking at the event itself. That's what I really attended for. In fact, I got irritated that there was some guy that was trying to network and wanted to talk to me. And normally I'm all for it. You know me very well. Like, but I was like in the opposite mode of wanting to talk. Somebody tried to talk to me. After the first few minutes, we ended up removing ourselves from that area, moving to another area so that we would not be interrupted by somebody talking to us. So that way I could continue to pay attention and watch.
It's so funny. Like the perfect student that like high school teachers and middle school teachers wish, when if you're just in normal school, right? And they're just talking, you're like, all right, talking, you get in trouble. But now you're like, okay, I'm going to go and move myself so these people don't fucking distract me. Because I flew my ass all the way over here.
We came from Florida to California. I flew 5+ hours to get here. like on my own dime. I paid for the hotel, we're paying for the food to get there. Like I'm here to get, you know what I mean? I'm here to get my what I came for.
That's good. I mean, I think it's important too for those who are watching, right? I mean, if you're going to go to an event, depending on like what the goal of it is determine, if you're there to actually like absorb and get something out of it and learn, then just make the 100% commitment to do that. But if you're there to, just get some gold nuggets here and there and actually like shake hands and network, right, and build connections with certain people, like maybe certain people are going to be there. That's a pretty interesting game plan and sticking to it for sure. Right. So, okay. So you show up, you guys are 100% focused. Did you guys get to actually like meet him, like, and talk to him? Did you like go into the crowd?
I have a rule. I have a rule with influence. Like, and I honestly like, and maybe this is just me being crazy, but like in an event setting like this, where it's like I'm attending their event or anything, I will never walk up to the influencer or the person that's running it or anything like that and like start fanboying and just, you know what I mean? I'll never do that.
Not fanboying, but I mean, like getting the most, like, cause like, I feel like, and I saw this too, obviously we've been to a lot of Jason Capital events, right? And then people will get their shot at going up there and they do exactly just that. Right. But like, in my mind, it's like, I flew all the fucking way over here. Like, I'm going to ask a very specific question, right? Like something like not there to hype them up, not to make them fucking feel good, but it's like, I want to get, if I have a shot to get like this one gold nugget, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you guys did have that, okay, let's say you did talk to them, right? What would be and you had like, I don't know, minimum of 5 minutes, right? What would be the one thing you guys know that you would ask?
Well, that's the interesting part, right? Is that the entire presentation, he would have answered your question.
Nice. So it was just that good. Y'all are just like, like, fuck, I don't even have anything specific for my own stuff that I would ask them.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the way I felt about it was that like there was just so much value poured on my face that like I had to go implement before I ask another question. It'd be dumb because it's like he literally just laid it out like 20 hours, 2 days had been like explaining this. Like if you had questions still, then and you're not at a point where you just absorbed enough information where you just want to go and implement, then like you weren't paying attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the fact that it's the old school of learning, old school learning stuff, right? Like he provided pens and notebooks and told people, it's like several times, it's like, if you're not taking notes, then I'm not really sure what stage you are in your business, right? Because he'll say it, write it down, write that down, right? Mm-hmm. And you're having to, and he talked about in the event too, like how you should take notes. So it's just like, there were so many precursors of him like, hey, you should probably take notes. There's no videography or photography. Like, I'm also not going to give you the slides. There's also going to be training after this. So treat this like you would like you paid for the class. He said, he even said it. He's like, treat it like you just paid $30,000 to be here.
So it's interesting too. So I watched a video training, like Hermosi's been doing a lot of stage speaking, and his whole caveat now is if I go and speak on stage, like I'm going to take my entire recorded presentation and I'm going to give it as value as YouTube. And he kind of said something that threw me for a fucking loop. And it, people were there, they had their phones out and they're taking photos of the slides and were like taking notes. And he like literally said, he's like, all right, guys, just put your phones down. He's like, look, if you have to take photos of the slides, you have to take notes. You're not understanding the concepts. And if you guys just listen and understand the concepts, he's like, you won't need the slides in the notes, which kind of threw me for a loop because I was just like, I'm like, fuck, man. But everyone says like, go back, take notes and review. So it's interesting kind of seeing like the different stuff. I guess if it's more high level abstract, like concepts that you just want you to like understand from a macro level, then like absorb it. But I guess if it's going to be super detailed, because obviously you guys are getting there for fucking 20 hours of content, then in that case, it's a little bit different, right? Because there's probably like very specific tactics.
Well, to that point real quick. So Joel said this one thing and that really like has sat with me for a while. And it's that you learn at the speed of consumption.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, however you consume, however long it takes you to do it. Like that's what so he was harping on, you should take notes because how you consume content right now, you're only going to remember like 2% of it.
Yeah, that's true. Because you got to regurgitate it, read it back to yourself and review. So like, obviously y'all can't share like taxes and stuff, but was there anything that was done or said that just literally like mind fucked you? Like sometimes you're just there and you're just like stuck. You're just like, you know what I mean? Mesmerized. You're like, fuck, well, that was deep. Like I never thought about it that way. Was there anything that kind of comes to your mind where you're just like, holy shit?
Yes. So I mean, obviously I'm not going to say explicitly what happened in the event per se, because I can't do that. But what I will say is there were so many times in the presentation where I got so like absorbed into the story, like listening to what he was saying, that my hand would stop working. Like I would stop taking notes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The story was so good, Dylan. And I'm a copywriter. I can like listen to stories and like try to separate myself. But that's how good it was. Like the presentations and stories were so good sometimes that I would forget I was even like learning, and I was just listening to the story. And he'd be like, "Hey, by the way, you should have wrote that down." I'm like, "Oh shit." Like,
What's hard? That's a hard thing to write down, is when you're getting absorbed in a story. And like, I mean, you can't write the entire story verbatim, right? So those things are definitely difficult when it comes to taking notes. But yeah, he's definitely a really good storyteller. That's one thing I tell my team all the time. Like, guys, even like in sales, like just I'm like, what am I doing in my calls? Just tell stories and be really, really good at storytelling. Really, really good. To where if you can see their facial expressions and they're like leaning in and they're like engaged to it and they're like hooked, that's always like a really, really good story for sure. But I think that's a really good knowledge boner moment here for everyone that's listening to is it, because I think a lot of people don't pay attention to that from a macro level. Is what Wally's saying is he's not necessarily what they're saying, but watch like what they do, right? It's not really about what they do, what they're saying. It's about what are they doing, right? How is he hosting the event, right? What's going on in the background of the audience? Like what's, what is he doing? Why is he doing what he is doing? Is there a specific reason why he's presenting this way to captivate the audience, right? So Wally's trying to absorb from a bird's eye view, trying to like not get sucked into the view of what they want to happen and be able to like see the outside view, right? Which is hard, but because Joel's such a good storyteller, right? Sometimes you get like sucked in and then you forget, you're like, oh, damn it, it worked. He got me.
yeah, no, it happened so many, like multiple times. You know what I mean? And so that's how you're learning from somebody that's really a master at what they're doing. Is that you're literally listening to them trying to piece it out, and they still captivate you, and they still, it still happens to you no matter what.
Yeah. So did y'all, from what you guys have seen, like just from observing him, did y'all see anything that he did that y'all feel like y'all can go and take to your events now that y'all like want to like test out or implement?
Oh yeah,
1,000%.
1,000%. Yeah.
Nice. Kind of like hooking, captivating the audience and all that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and so like,
cadence,
go ahead.
I think the cadence, the structure of the event is like obviously something we learned, and then also like the setup, right? Because he literally even showed us how he set up the event, what tech setup he used, like how he was operating, like how to set up the screens, how to take it down, like what laptop he's using. Like it was very inclusive. Yeah.
And he did it by himself.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So he had no help. That's badass. That's cool because especially with his age, like he's already deterring beliefs that people are going to have of, I can't fucking do tech. I need a person to help me, like blah, blah, blah. So he's literally eliminating any fucking excuse that people could possibly have, as an old man. So look, I'm a fucking old man. I'm doing this shit myself. If I could fucking do it, you can do it. 100%. I love that. Yeah, 100%. Even if he's not intentionally, even if he's not saying it, that's what's going through the audience's mind. That's what's powerful about that. So, but okay. So like in y'all's case, right? With like tech and stuff, obviously you guys do a lot of your events at like local like places. I know you guys are about to migrate into, your new area. Is that change happening now? Like, is this next event going to be at y'all's new location, or is it going to be still at Driftwood?
Still gonna be at Driftwood.
Okay.
We're just so this coming month, right, is not going to be the month where we implement. So this coming up Thursday, we're going to spend the next 30 days really hammering out to provide our July event, like the thing that we will always constantly roll out, right? So we're going to take everything that because it's just too short of a time right now. There's no way that we can get from now till Thursday. There's no way we can create all the things that we need to provide the best experience. So we're like, okay, let's do it July.
And honestly, like it's really cool because it's like, for us, I view myself as a relatively like proactive marketer, proactive on execution and just thinking about things ahead of time, thinking about how to make things better or whatever. And it's really interesting to just see how far away it could be from the best it could be, if that makes sense. It was so far away, so I think that maybe not this week is going to be relatively the same, but like going forward into like Q3 and beyond, I think it will be much, much different.
We've gotten frameworks that'll always like allow us to like grow the event in such a way that it's just going to be awesome. I mean, I'm gonna give you all I got, Dylan. That's what I can say. I'm gonna.
So are y'all about to like invest into like a projector to hook up to your laptop and shit? Like you're going like that far to have like an actual projector?
I don't know.
Laptop.
You have to wait till
I
July.
have to wait till July.
You're gonna make me wait for the surprise too? Come
Yeah,
on.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's like, you're gonna be wowed and hooked into the story.
Oh.
That's funny. Cool. So what did you guys notice for those that are tuning in, you know, they go to events, they want to get the most out of them, right? What are kind of the biggest mistakes you guys see a lot when you guys are going to these events that you guys just realize like, okay, that was a missed opportunity. You guys fucked up. Obviously not taking notes, probably like chit chatting, but was there anything else that kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, actually. And so, you know, since it's a 10-hour event, also there's breaks, right? A lot of the time when people come to events and stuff like that, they look forward to breaks, almost like you would in school. You like look forward to lunch, stuff like that. Oh, I can go network in the lunch area and things like that too. Joel was so methodical with his event that he also had trainings during the break that was dropping gold nuggets. So you were incentivized to learn how to. The whole thing was like people get too comfortable like looking for food or wanting to go chit chat and stuff like that. And I was like, no, you're at the event to learn. So you should have brought snacks. And like if you're gonna go get lunch, like looks like you're fasting today. Like you better like learn how to like water. You know. So it's
Wow.
like, yeah. So it's like the difference of that piece was that the mistake that I saw some people were making was looking forward to the break and lunches so they can go network. And it's like, you know, like you can wait till after the event to get people's information. Like they're there for the same thing. So you can wait till the end of it. You know what I mean?
Folks, like, so we had to go like nonstop and I lost like 10 pounds because I didn't prepare and bring anything.
Dude, we ate so many, like we would literally go to the gift shop and just buy like those like freaking like planters nuts and stuff like that. Like we're literally eating peanuts for the thing. We're like getting no nutritional value the whole day, like whole weekend.
Y'all meet any interesting people, like even at the hotel that you guys were staying at from other people like attending the event? Y'all didn't make any friends at all or meet some badass people?
So I did talk to a couple people while I was there. I mean, I was curious if people my age or our age were going to even be there, to be honest, because he has such an older demographic. And I was saying that to Phung before we left. I was like, dude, like I bet that there's not going to be anybody that's in their 20s or even early 30s here. So, surely enough, we ran into two people who were our age, you know, similar age, and they had just found out about Joel. So he does have a pretty wide range of people overall. To be honest, you know, as much as I want to network, like the reason that I was there was not to network. So I don't know if I'll be able to continue those relationships and keep up with them like I should. Like, you know, selfishly, I was there to learn and, you know, go to the next level, so to speak, and kind of the things that I'm doing. So that's kind of was like my main focus for sure. If I, you know, I have friends and I have a community of people that I can go to. So I'm not necessarily like in a lack for that. There are people in that community I'm sure probably feel the opposite, right? Where they wanted to be among people who are like-minded and they need a community of entrepreneurs around them and they probably need that circle. Whereas like, you know, Dylan, you know, us, we've been, you know, we're doing this for a few years now. So our circle has definitely changed and we have a lot of people around us already that kind of provide that community. So I really was just there for the training. Like
for sure.
I think it depends on like what stage of business you're in and then what level you're trying to reach in. I actually answered this question on Quora recently. Someone asked, I got asked in one of these polls as far as like, you know, should I attend a leadership training even if I'm not going to be a leader? And I was just like, well, if you ever plan on trying to become a leader one day, then yes, attend the event with an open mind to see how things work because you don't have an example of what's good or bad, right? So I think if you're starting out and going events, things like that, you don't have anything to go off of. So go to the event and take notes, talk to people about their experience at the event versus of like, oh, what do you do for business? What do you do? Like talk about what's happening there. And that's important because then you're really immersing yourself in that environment.
So does he give an opinion on in-person events versus live? And the reason why I ask is because, you know, for those that either want to like host events, you know, as business owners, you kind of, there's this like whole like opposite of polarity, right? A lot of people say, well, cool, you can get more intimate and you can host events, right, and have people come like locally, but like you're kind of, whoever shows up, you're kind of capped. You have more intimate versus, okay, well, if I use all my revenue producing activity, putting together an event, hosting it, having them come in person, that same time, energy, and effort could have been more of a live virtual event where I could have reached the masses and had tons of them. And so I could probably profit more doing it, live and virtually compared to, but going through all the time, energy, and effort just to have a cohesion, right? So, did he give his opinion on this versus this? And if not, what is y'all's opinion on it?
So he did give an opinion, and so basically, online is great, but you'll never replace face to face. So in-person events are always going to be, it should be and always be a component of your marketing. But and just think about it, right? Like, let's say you're all online 100%, right? They never see your face. It's always Zoom or anything like that. They never get to get that analog experience of seeing you in action, like seeing you actually be good at your thing, and just kind of performing in front of people like that whole experience, right? So it's almost like the demonstration of your ability isn't real to them until they see the live, if that makes sense.
So do you think it would have taken away from that intimacy if, let's say he's like, hey, even if it was pay tickets or even free, it doesn't really matter. But those that showed up, what if he did double, right? Those that showed up, you're there in person, but at the same time, he's also recording and live streaming it. So you have the camera set up, because you see this a lot with a lot of people, right? Dean Graziosi does this. A lot of other people do. They have they do it live, and in the background you have like the Zoom screens, and everyone's still able to attend that couldn't make it in person. Do you feel like that's still a good way to do both, or do you think it just kind of really takes away from the effect of what you're trying to have?
I think it depends on like your business, honestly, right? So it depends on like what you're trying to accomplish. And so I think it always boils down to that, in my opinion, because so how he prefaced it's not like, because it was recorded. It was a recorded event, but how he prefaced it was that I'm recording this for legal purposes, right? This is not going to be shared to the world. This is not going to be something like this. It's only to protect himself. Right.
It's a weird frame. I never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, from the last event that I attend with them, and I know from this one, I'll never see that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
know you guys missed a replay too for once. You're like, damn it.
Yeah.
No fucking replay.
I think it's important. So it's like for the business side of it, I think that honestly, it was a great idea for him to not give the recording out and not to do the live stream in the room, because for him as a speaker, it makes sense, because he's like, most of his sales come from people being in the room, right? He's stage selling, so he needs people in the room. So by incentivizing people to be in the room by not giving out the recordings, that gives that scarcity factor.
Make sure they show up.
It's like, I'm going to show up to the next one because I missed out,
Yeah, compared to, well, if I can't make it, whatever, I know it's going to be recorded.
Exactly.
I'll just catch the live stream. Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Well, because I mean, I know Joel Bauer in his past stuff, like, he's definitely a high ticket guy, right? People pay him premium price for like a lot of the stuff that he does. So do you feel like that would have an effect? Like, do you think in person is definitely the way to go if someone's trying to sell a high ticket premium? And then if it's not high ticket, do you definitely see like, okay, it's gonna be low ticket, who cares? Just reach the masses and go virtual.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a high ticket, the higher ticket you go, I think it's great to do it in person like that. And I think the lower ticket, it's easier to scale online, right? They don't necessarily need as much KLT or whatever. But and when I say a high ticket, I would say above the price point of 5K. I know that you can get below that like relatively easy with online marketing and that kind of stuff. And obviously you would even sell at a higher ticket right now with just online, you're getting that as well above 5K. I think that it depends on like what your goal is, so to speak, right? Meaning that like, if your goal as your business is to just get as many customers as possible, then maybe your model is go more wide on the internet, right? I think that what I like about Joel's program, or at least in terms of how he positions himself, is that he cares a lot, right? He works with these people, and the people that he works with, he actually takes a deep involvement in their business, gets to know them very well. And it is like almost more intimate that way. And I like that framing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't think he has. I've yet to ever hear from anyone any type of negative PR on him, right? You know how like you always hear about some people, they're like, oh, well, I've had a bad experience, and like I had to get a refund and blah blah blah, or I got burned a scam. I've never heard any negative PR and feedback from the guy ever, like not a single time, which is like pretty incredible in terms of building up that. That's fucking hard to do when you're,
And
especially
his
when you're
track
taking
record for 30 plus years. Like,
yeah, that's a long time. So you can definitely tell that he's genuine when he says that that he cares, right? Not just like
Yeah.
trying to go reach the masses, and it's just like cool. And I know from past experiences of hearing other events you guys had, he has like amazing like guarantees and stuff too. It's just like, hey, if you don't see value in it, whatever, here you go. Here's your money back. I don't need it. So like that's a really cool frame for somebody to have at that level for sure. So walk us through kind of the game plan too, because I think a lot of mistakes that people make is you guys traveled, it was free. Okay. I don't know if you guys invested into like any types of upsells or stuff. I don't care. It's not the audience's business. But when you come back, right, this is like the hard part, right? You guys have your notes. And I know a lot of people, this is where they fuck up. They go there, they get the value, they're excited, right? You're on cloud nine, right? Because you have this like whole motivation of like, I'm gonna go do shit. And it takes within a 72-hour window where it just, you don't have the mojo anymore of the excitement, right? And a lot of people will fall back into their normal devices and routines. And so like I know for me, every time we have gone to events, I've always had to kind of like look at my notes, especially if there's multiple guest speakers. I have to go and look at it and say, okay, what's the one fucking thing out of everything I just learned that I can literally go and focus on and implement like right away to try to get my value? So if I was in y'all's shoes, the only thing going through my mind is I pay this much for the ticket. Pay this much for food. I pay this much for the hotel. If I can just break even or even profit from the amount of money I spent, even going to this event, like I'm fucking on cloud nine, right? We're good. Everything else after that's 100% profit, right? Break even, baby. So what's kind of, walk them through like kind of mistakes that you guys see people make. And then what's y'all's game plan of you have all these notes. How are you guys going to keep yourselves accountable, and what tactics are you using to execute on it so that you don't fuck it up?
That's actually funny because, so I'll go first a little bit, just my experience on note taking and attending events. So when I would first go to events and things like that, I'm not like the best note taker at times. And so there's plenty of like notes and pages where I have like 1 or 2 words.
That's funny you say that, because just so everybody knows, I'm actually jealous of his note taking. Like I'm a horrible note taker. So the fact that he's saying I'm actually not a good note taker, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like I see his notes, how like organized it is, like how he uses the dots on the thing. He puts like the pictures, and I'm like, God damn, like Phung's like very creative and shit. Like his note, my shit's like, you can't even fucking read it, right? I'm horrible at note taking. And this guy's like, I'm not a good note taker. So that really kind of puts me fucking down, but continue.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I wasn't always like that, right? It was because when I was first doing this whole entrepreneur thing, and then when we attended the Tampa Bay startup event here back in 2018, and I would look through some of those notes, and I only had like 1 word or a phrase here, and it didn't direct me anywhere or point me anything. So I would have to sit there and like rack my brain on like, why did I write just 1 word? Like I thought I was going to remember what this word was going to trigger me to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was in the first couple of years of like learning and like doing course taking and going to events. Like that was a big challenge for me to overcome, because I was like, oh fuck, like I love listening to events and stuff like that. But then when I forget, and if I don't write the notes in my own perspective on like how I saw it, then I'm not going to remember what happened. Right. And so there was this dance that I did for a while that I just didn't do great note taking, and so like how to implement that was that I would be a little bit more methodical of like, when I listened to the conversation, I would write out like context now, right? And like now you see me do bullet points and like graphs and like different types of pictures and things like that, but it wasn't always like that. Like I think the mistake that a lot of people go into events is that when they take notes, they're not organized enough, right? They don't organize their thought processes like and break it down. So funny enough, before we went to this event, we got introduced to an online tool that's free, by the way, and it's called Obsidian, and it's a developer's tool that is like the craziest like note-taking program and software that were out there. And then when we get to the event, when I was like, oh my God, I'm about to be like crazy organized, because that allowed me to section out the things that I'm building out, right? Because typically when you go into your notebook, it's all jumbled together. There's pictures everywhere. There's notes everywhere. Like you got chicken scratch everywhere and those types of things. And then like after the event, you want to itemize those out and organize it in such a way that you're able to see everything laid out. And that was the thing that, you know, Wally and I did literally every day after we're like, I gotta write this down. Otherwise I'm gonna fucking forget. Like I gotta organize this out a little bit, or I'm not gonna get the right value from the event itself. So from my own perspective, I make sure like that I organize the thoughts out. So that, and it goes back to like the outcome that you're looking for when you're going to the event. Like I know what I need to do for my event. I know what I need to do for my offer, but I don't know the actual technical pieces at end. So I go, all right, cool. Like if this is the outcome of my event, of what I'm looking for. So I want to pack out the house at my in-person event, and I want to figure out the stories that I tell. And then what's the thing that I offer? So I go into these events thinking those are the main three things. And then I just take notes around the entire event. But then when I go back through my notes, I make sure that I'm organized on those 3 points. I was like, okay, this is what I heard and listened. How does it relevant to me to now?
So have intention behind your note taking. Like you have to go through it with intention first to have a game plan for. Okay. And let's see. So Obsidian, a second brain for you forever. Obsidian is a powerful knowledge base on top of a local folder of plain text markdown files. This video is sponsored by no, I'm just kidding.
Like sponsor us. I was about to say,
sponsor us. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, sponsor us. Give me a sharing host real quick. I'll show you what it looks like really fast, because
so did you actually type all the notes like on your computer using this tool, or do you have to handwrite it and then transfer over?
So no computers were allowed at this event, so I had to handwrite everything and then transfer over.
Interesting. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. I allowed share screen. I'm really curious about this because.
Yeah. So this is Obsidian. So
holy shit.
Right here.
What?
This is a mind map of everything that's built together. So I show you this animation after writing everything out. It actually shows all this stuff on the left-hand side and how they connects.
What?
Yes. So this is a free tool that was gifted to us by some of our crypto community. They're like, dude, you got to use this. It's like your second brain. Right. And I was like, holy crap. And then as I've like written out notes and things like that, this is legitimately like my second brain. Like you can see right here on the side, like I got St. Pete networking, marketing stuff. I need this marketing for the business projects, right? My current projects, right? Like proposal stuff, books that I'm trying to write. My mind palace, which is like, I do everything, my funny stuff, my philosophy, trainings, right? Like I even have I have a whiteboard effect in here, right? Like where I drew this out for my Sunday planning stuff, right? Like here's the whiteboard, right? Like this tool is amazing, introduced to us. And I was like, oh, I have the perfect opportunity to like organize all my stuff. Right.
So walk me through the dot thing. Cause my personality type in my brain, like when I see this, I'll be honest with you, like this right here fills me with overwhelm. Cause I'm just like, I'm like, oh shit, I have no idea how this works or uses. So, you know, sell me on it.
So here he is right here, right? So I'll tell you right here, this is my indoctrination email series that I wrote for St. Pete Networking, the in-person event, right? Now, everything you see in red are the images that are attached to the document. So if I pull up the document, here's everything listed out, right? Here's the entire email series for it. But then
doesn't your ClickUp do the same feature or no?
It can, but not like this. And ClickUp, you have to pay for those services and software. This is a free tool.
Dope.
So everything right here is my template. So this is like when I write emails or blog posts or answer questions, or I have a templated system of like doing things. So I can actually show you right here. So let's say if I wanted to do a blog post, this is a template of a blog post that I write. Everything that consists of a blog post, this is my template. So anytime I have a blog idea, I produce this template and it'll show it in this graph, right? From this template form right here. So everything you can see based off of my template, everything highlighted in white is a document that I've already written out and consider a template. So that's like what my
you color coded that yourself, or does it automatically have its own like
You color code them yourself and stuff like that too. So like right now I have some of these things in pink right here.
Yeah.
That one, the pink one has the tag finish later.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. So I can come in here and go finish later.
So just to give a little context, Dylan, remember it's based on your tagging system, right? So obviously it's going to be organized how you want it, and this is just how he has it organized.
Yes,
For sure.
And I can show you an easier process in person, stuff like that. But I just wanted to show that tool on like how it became so useful all of a sudden that I was going to a live event. I just organized my thoughts out and set intentions on what I was looking for. And I had a place to organize everything. So now I have an executable thing instead of just looking at my notebook and running through pages.
So, okay. So you go to the event, you already have your whole crazy mind map thingy out on Obsidian, and then you just go in and now you're going to what? Put in Joel Bauer event, type in your notes, and then it's just going to pop up as a blimp and then be connected to everything else. And then, but how do you, like, how do you use that function? Is that where the hashtags come in? You're just going to use the hashtag so you know like where it comes in, and you can just see this pretty big picture of everything. And then, but then how do you manage the chaos later? This is where my brain goes, right? So like when I see that type of shit, like I literally, when people create these things that do all this like cool stuff, like I'm amazed by it, but at the same time, I feel like I need like a walkthrough program of like I don't know how to fucking organize it. What are the best hashtags and what are the best daily uses and how do I, because I'm not creative. Like I just do not have a creative part of my brain.
Actually, I want Wally to share his insight on how he organized, because it was because of Wally's organization that led me on to doing everything from a template.
Yeah, he's always organized. Fuck you, Wally. Organizational brain.
So I'm organized in my own way. So I think that the best way for me is, so I use it like a copywriter, right? So what's important to me as a copywriter? Swipe, lots and lots of a swipe file, right? You know, different ad promotions that I've seen before. I've looked at sales letters. I've been to all kinds of different things. So that's what I did first, was I went through all of my notes or any section or anything that I needed as a copywriter. And then I imported all of those into my Obsidian, right? So why is that useful? Well, the useful part is now I have an accessible swipe file, right? I don't have to go rummage through it. I can literally type in there, search a word, and it goes right to directly in my swipe file where I need it. And I can see, oh, this thing is related to that. I've written 5 other things that are kind of like this. Maybe I should look at those, you know? And so using it like a brain, like a catalog, right?
Yeah.
And you tag things based on where they would be in your brain. So for me, it's swipe, copy, or like events or whatever, or it might be training. And so then I use those tags to then filter out my documents.
Would you do one for like broad scope business? Would you have one for like lead generation and then go inside?
Exactly. Yeah. So I might have lead generation, and it might be, oh, Alex Hormozzi's lead generation, or this person's lead generation. And here's the examples of ads that I've seen from these guys. So I use it as a place for me to think.
Yeah. You ever going to clear it out? Like eventually, because you know, once it gets like jumbled so much of terms of like clutter, you're just gonna let the brain grow and always just have it there.
That's the whole point, is that you literally list everything out that you have going on, and you use the graph to connect them all, right? Like, because as you tag them, it'll automatically connect the things for you. And so then you can look at the graph and you go, okay, cool. For example, you can be like, your B2B incubator, stuff like that. Say you've gone 3 months writing out notes and stuff like that. And you're like, well, what was the results that people had in the B2B incubator? Well, you go to your tag B2B incubator that's tagged with testimonials or results. And then literally you see everything that's in that category.
Okay. So you can just find all your stuff
in one place instead of having to rummage through your notes, type up on Google Documents, go through your Google Drive, go through your Dropbox, go through your iMessages, go through
talking about you find it because of the hashtag or just like searching in general. Okay.
Well, so when he's comparing that to how most people take notes, right? Most people take notes, it's in a note document on their phone or like Google Docs or whatever. But if you've been in business for as long as we have, how many Google Docs you got?
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not going to be able to figure out what you wrote 3 months ago in a Google Doc. You know what I mean? You have to click it open. You have to kind of read and figure it out. Whereas now you can search it. Like I can just search a term in my Obsidian and it'll pull up exactly what I was doing before.
And you can link directly to the Google Docs.
Exactly.
Yep.
So essentially with like the other business stuff, you're just using Obsidian just like you would kind of like Google Drive, where like you just link to each document, have it all organized and like.
Yeah, it's a personal CRM.
Personal, yeah. But and so the main thing is this is accessible all offline too. So it just lives on your computer. Like it's all organized like that already. You can even work offline and it will still reflect the same into these categories and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. If this works out for me in City, and you better sponsor us, because that's
I
I
know.
mean, so what would the paid features be? Like, obviously they gotta make money somehow, right? So like, what
Yeah.
makes it badass?
So I guess not to go too much into Obsidian. If you guys are curious, like definitely go in there and research it. But
Use
I do
my non-affiliate link that I don't have, please.
There's not. So the only thing you're paying for is to buy them cups of coffees to continue the project on, right? It's an open source software.
Yeah.
Right. So
just to loop this back into like actionable stuff for the event, right? To
Yeah.
not get too side tangents on Obsidian. To loop it back into the event stuff. So the reason that is actionable is that instead of me having to go through and look through my notes and kind of figure out what was I thinking here, what was I thinking there, I literally just uploaded all of my notes at one time into Obsidian or whatever, and then I create my action items based on that. Like once I upload it all in. I think that most people, the problem that they have whenever they attend events and take notes and try to transfer them into something actionable is the process of going through the notes to find the things that you want to action on.
Yeah,
for sure.
What if you're trying to access something, 3 months or not even 3 months, 2 years ago from a previous event, right? After you just got this gold nugget, you're gonna have to go through all your Google documents, or even worse, your iPhone notes section, right? Like, and just endlessly scroll, or find the conversation that you had with someone through your text messages, right? So it's saving you that time of having to go dig through all that stuff up. But it takes time to transfer all the notes that you already currently have into that program.
So notes, my notes is all jacked up on my phone because they created a hashtag option on notes now where you can do the hashtags. So I use my notes for all my my workouts, my workout history of like what I do, and then like I'll hashtag it by like the month, and then like the styles. Ever since I started adding the hashtags, it's been like screwing up the notes. Like it'll pull it all the way up and have to scroll all the way down. So like it cannot. They royally screwed that up by adding hashtags to the actual regular notes on iPhone. So that'd be an interesting thing. But so instead of using hypotheticals, let's just use tangible examples for those listening in, right? So you guys know you have a hard deadline, right? Y'all's is going to be the first Thursday of July, right? That's like so because I feel like deadlines are very important, right? So are y'all just like taking everything from your notes and saying, okay, like all this has to be done if we're going to be ready by him, like this is go time, and then just setting up mini deadlines for all the up to then? Or is it just like, let's just fucking like cram everything and make sure we meet the deadline? How are you guys kind of like conceptually breaking that down?
So I think that there's two sides of it, meaning so the implementation side is important to think about in terms of the dynamics of the business, right? So me and him, we have an agency together, but the primary purpose of, at least of this event, is to position for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is also important. So one thing that's going to be different that you might think is interesting is we're going to both personally brand, but where we come in the middle is going to be this new our agency offer, if that makes sense. So we're both going to have our own offer, but we'll have a joint offer in the middle, which is the agency offer. Gotcha. So to answer your question, so we have individual projects that we need to accomplish on our own, and then we also have a joint project we'll have to accomplish tasks as well. Now, in terms of where the overlap is, that's where the thing on in July comes into play, right?
Yeah.
So for that specific event, we have certain things and assets that we have laid out already, and so we're going to work on them in tandem, in between. And there's not necessarily a set order. It's just that here's the list of items, and you kind of have to work on them together, if that makes sense.
So how do y'all feel like you'll manage your time to do that, right? Because like you got to prioritize your time for like your own individual offers, and then also like for like the joint, right? Because then, and how do you fall into like, hey, you've been spending, damn it, Phung, you've been doing all this stuff and working this, but now our joint one's suffering because you didn't do this, this, and this, right? Or damn it, Wally, like you're supposed to do this, this, this. How do you guys find kind of like how are y'all balancing that, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, they really suck at that. I know you guys are way more organized than most people. Like I know I would fuck that up. I'm not just not an organized person. So like what kind of tips you guys have for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it's just about like how you want to operate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that me and Fung, we're like, while we are business partners, we also operate as individuals as well. Like I've been selling my own coaching and offers for this whole time, since, plus also running the agency stuff. So I don't think there's anything different. I think it's just about like the dynamics of how you want the business to go. And the agreement, at least between us, is that we're okay with that, right? We're okay
Mm-hmm.
with personally selling services and also selling the joint offer in between. And I think that it's more about your agreement and how you want to do business and less about the actual like infrastructure, if that makes sense.
Right. I agree. I can agree with that too, because it wasn't until last year, right, that I really started selling my own offers. I was really focused more on the joint project, on what we could do. But then that came the realization of like, we're an agency, but the product and services is always going to be the same. It's just going to be how we position it, right? So then that kind of was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Because if we're always going to be selling, online marketing and helping people with lead gen, lead nurture, and converting, right? At its basic form, that's all it really consists of. You know what I mean? So we knew that. We're like, okay, online marketing is always going to be here, and that's always going to, marketing advertising is always going to be the thing that we're going to sell together, because if we do it together, it's great. Where we lacked on was like our own personal brand and coaching method of like how we do business, right? And it's just like, okay, cool. Some people really resonate with Wally, some people really resonate with me, right? But not everyone's willing to pay the double stacking, right? They don't want to, they may not just, and it'd be just like you, right? Like people may invest into viral growth media, but they really want to invest into Dylan Starr, right? This is those types of dynamics. And it's about like the conversation that you're willing to have with yourself, how you want to deal your business, how you want to grow, how you want to develop, right? Because me and him both had agreed early on that we would love to we can create our own things, right? Whatever that is, like we both need to be independent and not codependent on things that we're building, right? Because that's really where you as an individual can really shine and show your value. Because if you're always codependent on the other part, then reality is that you will always have to plus on that side. But now that you have two separate things, they can either do one or the other and then get both things. It's an easier sell.
For sure. And I'm happy you guys are doing that too anyways, right? Because I know like over the years, you could definitely tell the shift that you guys have gone through, because y'all both, in the past, we just wanted to be more like in the background, right? Now we don't want to be the face. We want to do the personal branding, or we just want to help other people build stuff. We want to be in the background. And now y'all are kind of like finally both at the end of like, okay, we're both going to personally brand, both going to have our own offers. So y'all ready to kind of make that next stage, which is awesome, right? It's really, really cool. It'd be really cool if eventually they had it to where when shit turns like holograms, where you can kind of like Iron Man that shit to where like the brain's just like around you in your room and you can just go and like touch and pull and be like, what was that template I was supposed to do? Wait, hold on. What was the event?
Yeah. Exactly.
Jarvis, pull up Joel Bauer event.
Right.
Right. Like, okay, where was that template? Oh yeah. Okay, cool. This is what we need right here.
Dude, that's literally it. And
Metaverse is coming. It could, like, we could be going to that with the headsets and the Oculus and shit. You never know.
100%. I think it was, I think it was important for me and him to be at these events, right? Because, as much as like, and not only that, we're family. We have a family project that we're building and those types of things. Or I think people get lost in the weeds as far as like building their online business or building their personal brand. They don't think that they can do it with other people. That's like, oh, it's just gotta be me doing this, this, and this. It's like you can build it together, use the same frameworks and same concepts, just change your own message, right, to your thing.
Yeah. Do you guys ever foresee even the stuff you guys do together to where it would be, okay, we're at this level, Phung, you have these kind of roles and responsibilities, Wally's kind of focused on these, and then when an event comes up, it's going to turn into, hey, it's really not necessary for us both to be at this one event, right? You go to this one because you're going to be learning these skills. I'm just going to go and focus on this one because this is my role, instead of you guys like doing it together. Do you guys ever foresee that happening?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting question. because
that's just me playing devil's advocate, right? Because it's just where my
Yeah.
head's at, right? Because, you know, some people would argue, well, if you guys are doing this together, why do you guys both need to be there if y'all have different things in the business, right? So, or if y'all are going to be doing it together, regardless, it's completely fine. I'm just kind of curious where y'all's heads at with that dynamic, you know, as you guys grow, because you guys are going to grow.
Of course. And I think it's for me and Wally in particular, I can kind of say that it's because me and him are so communicative and open about what we're trying to accomplish and achieve, whether it's together or separate, that once we cross that stage, like we'll just have an honest discussion on like what's going to happen. Right. And it's about coming from a place of like, no, this is no maliciousness. This is no, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to steal your shit. Right. I'm concerned about your own well-being and those types of things. And is those align with your goals, right? So that I think that's a big part of it, is not necessarily saying that it's a competition. This is like, well, how can I help you and grow to the level that you want to grow? And then how can you also help me grow to the level I go? And we work together in that sense, whether it's separate or together, right? So this whole thing of like, nah, you're gonna do it this way, you're gonna do it this way. Like, no, I don't think that's going to be the case for us, because we're just so communicative, and we both hit each other with so much logic that we're like, oh, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah. So final thoughts, and actually go ahead, Wally. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I think it's important to remember that like I guess people are inherently selfish, right? And I think when I say that, I mean that like
talking about you, Phung.
Like, whenever people go into business together, they're like, yeah, like we're in business together, you know, we got to focus on this thing together. This is us together, you know, forever, whatever. Like, that's just not like life, one. Two, and then the other side is that generally speaking, what I found is that when people dive in super heavy like that and they stick together like that 100%, there ends up being like a lot of resentment on either side, right? Oh, one person isn't working as hard today. Oh, this person, you know what I mean? It's just that whole dynamic that
right.
occurs all the time. And so like, I like to think of it as like, hey, you know, I got my own shit that I want to do, and you got your own shit that you want to do. Together, where we overlap is this thing in the middle, and we can do this together. You know what I mean? And it doesn't need to be competitive. It can be independent, right? There's hundreds, and, you know, especially me working in a high volume social media sales environment, like I know that there are customers and plenty of people available for everybody. You know what I mean? If you're good enough in marketing, and if your offer is good and your positioning, like there's not going to be an issue of finding customers, right? Like, you know, there's plenty of room in the world for all of us on this call to make multiple 7 figures, and there would still be customers for other people to sell to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. We have the right headspace, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, it kind of just depends where they're at in character and identity. But I know the three of us here, we're always at the point where, you know, I mean, Wally's shit could take off and he can go make fucking $1 million in less than a month. You know what I'm saying? And we would all just be like, you know, not necessarily envy and jealousy. It would be more like, yeah, we're fucking pumped for him, right? You know, and go and double down on it, right? But I guess people that are more like early in their career, they kind of don't have that headspace yet. It's kind of more of like, oh, well, cool, your shit's taken off, but what about our shit, right? Like, you know, like, and I got to go and double down on it, right? You know, this happened with our good friend Jake Tran, right? You know, he started growing and shit on YouTube, and stuff took off, and he's like, hey guys, I got to step away from this and this. I'm going to double down on this. We're like, go fucking do it, and he did, and then boom, right? You know, he blew up off to the races. So. That's kind of good.
1.2 million subscribers later, you know?
yeah 1.2 million. He's so like, and he's still like fucking focused like to a fault, right? Like he doesn't, if it has nothing to do when opportunities and stuff come to him, because he meets Story Talkers all the time, it's not related to YouTube, like he just tunes it out. Like he's just not receptive to anything that's not onto it. So he's just like in his lane all the way through, which is, you know, incredible. I mean, to have that level of focus is very difficult in today's day and age when it comes to shiny object syndrome and the fucking opportunities, right? So definitely commend him on that. But so final thoughts, right? So when it comes to events, so I'll leave everyone off with one last gold nugget, because this is something that's a common occurrence with a lot of people. What do you guys think is a good ratio of doing it? And I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on it first. So I want to hear your thoughts of going to events, right? Because I know a lot of people say, same thing with like courses and masterminds and shit like that, right? Like, you know, some people say like, go do it in once a quarter. I used to think this, like if you're doing it once a quarter, then you can go in like a 3-month sprint. So like y'all's case, right? We're going to go execute on everything we just learned in 3 months, and then let's go sign up for another event, right? I used to believe that. If y'all still do, I'd love y'all's thoughts on it. But my thoughts now is definitely kind of shifted. I'm kind of at more of a point of where I really haven't been going to events because like I want to kind of grow to a point where if when I get stuck and it's something kind of y'all's case, right? This event was relevant to you guys doing events. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys are in the event space now. You're hosting them. You want to grow them. You know that. So it made sense compared to just going to events for the fucking sake of doing it like everybody else does, right? I'm now a firm believer when it comes to books and events where I kind of like stopped with just ordering a shit ton of books all the time and just reading for the sake of fucking reading and signing up for events for the sake of going to events because I only want to get what I need at that time, at that level that I'm at. And then once I get it, then I'm just going to go and just off to the races until I feel like I'm fucking stuck again. Right. That's my take on it. But what's y'all's take on it for events and, whether they're beginners or they're at a certain stage in their business?
So I think that people live in a perpetual state of FOMO, and it doesn't exist just in these specific kinds of events. It exists in all events.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that for some reason people think that, oh shoot, like if I miss this one, I'm gonna miss that one little gold nugget that would have been the thing that took me to the next level. And so I definitely think it depends on your level of business. So I'll counter that by saying I attended a mastermind with Jason Capital and Kevin David was there, right? Got to eat dinner with Kevin David, hang out, and talk to him. And whenever he attends events nowadays, the reason that he attends is because he's like, look, I want one gold nugget, maybe. Like if I get it, I'm lucky to get it. But he said that one gold nugget is worth, at least $2 or $3 million to me on my bottom line per year. So it's worth it to me to attend events, to go outreach, to get that bottom line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he could take one thing and put it in his business and then, fucking 20x fast because he already has such infrastructure. Okay.
Exactly. But for other people, like if you don't have that infrastructure available, especially if you don't have a core offer and your business isn't like running and stuff and doing well, then like what are you attending the events for? Right.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's more about what you want to get out of it. Right. So then it's more about the intention behind going to the event. If your business isn't like where you want it to be, it's like, okay, am I going there to network and get more clients and get more lead flow into my business? Okay, that's one intention. The other intention is the training side, right? Maybe I'm going to learn that one thing from this person that's going to help my shit go from not working to working, or and then the final third option is literally just like the experience of it, right? Maybe I'm like stuck and I need that experience of other people who are killing it to know that, it's possible for me to do these things, right? I think that we're much out of that phase, of that beginning level phase, where we're kind of more in that phase now where we go to events for a purpose. And if there's no purpose behind it, then there's not really reason for us to go. And that's where I sit today, right? Where I'm like, okay, I like going to events, but I'm only going to go if there's a reason I want to go. And then two, if I'm going to get something that's worth my time to get there and go, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a good point. If you have infrastructure and you're at that level, and that, one gold nugget can make all the difference, right? But a lot of people, especially if they're listening here and you guys just don't have anything that you can go and execute on, like, and make a change real quick. It's different when you have like one, maybe it's like an email marketing strategy. You're sitting on an email list of 50,000 fucking people and you're like, oh, holy shit. I didn't know that I can go and do this in my past 30, 60, 90 day people. I'm gonna go execute on that, have my team execute it immediately. And then boom, cash, capitalize, right? It's just kind of knowing the level that you're at. Cool. And Phung, do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Well, so I agree with everything Wally said, honestly, because we, at the current stage of where we're at, right, the only reason why we would go to events is to find either a gold nugget that would really benefit us, or there's probably one thing people really don't do is look at the panel, look at the people who are speaking, right, and do some research on them are they doing the things that you want to do in life? Or do they have the skills that you're trying to acquire, right? Those types of things. And then look at how many people may show up to the event. Because then if you are looking for a skill, then you're going to show up ready to take notes and ready to do these things because you resonate with one of the speakers and they just got the tactics, that you really want. Or, if you already got the skills and the tactics and you're lacking on the network, then you go and you're just like, okay, I need a network. I want to get as many contacts that I got. Do I need to make some business cards? Let me fix my social media up a little bit before I go. Let me make sure this stuff got a website, those types of things. And the other aspect too is like maybe you don't necessarily need the training, maybe you don't need the gold nugget, but you are also trying to lead an event, right? And so you want to go to see how it's set up, how it's programmed. Are people having a good time? Are people even enjoying themselves? Are they getting the value they get that they're paying for? Those types of things, right? I know one of the things for us, one of the reasons why we run our free event is because we just want to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want people to be confident in the things that they're doing, and not have to worry about like, because we know where we were when we first started business, how to network and stuff like that. We weren't necessarily like looking for a network, but we wanted to be surrounded in that environment of like-minded individuals to do that hustle. And that sometimes is all you need, right? It's that environmental exposure and going like, okay, yeah, I'm not in this alone. Look at all these other people trying to figure out the same thing. Like, I can do this too.
For sure. Yeah. And then you have copywriters like Wally here, who are the ones that are giving you the fear of missing out when you don't want to go. Like they say, you have FOMO, but then you have marketers and copywriters who are creating the FOMO to make sure that they go to the event. So it's kind of like having that balancing act of recognizing, okay, whoa, I gotta stay focused. Don't let Wally suck me in with the copy.
Well, and if Wally is writing the copy, or if any of us are writing the copy, it's probably an event you're going to want to attend, because we're going to give you as much value as we can at an event. And so that's another part of it, right? Like,
over deliver,
do the research, like
reciprocation, 100%. Do over deliver, get as much value as possible, and then it'll 100% reciprocate, right? So cool. So for those tuning in, let's just quick recap on events, right? Number one, you want to go ahead and know what your intention is going to be before going to the event, right? That's very key. Okay. Am I there to network, or am I there to learn? And then if I'm there to learn and network, right, what's my game plan going into the event? So I have intention of what I want to accomplish there, and how to structure my notes and everything ahead of time instead of just going there and winging it. I really love that.
That is so key too. I mean, just that is like literally, that's the difference between somebody who gets something out of events and somebody who doesn't, is that literally the 30 seconds to 2 minutes before, where you're like, all right, what do I want to get out of this? Yeah.
Which and for those that listen back to the episode, right, even for JC events, right, we knew that we wanted to get them on the podcast, right? So we actually went in with like a freaking mission, right? Using us on stage, we went in with the absolute intention, right? And then we got the outcome we wanted from the event, right? Like 100%, which is
I'm going to say it here too. I told Phung this already, but I'm trying to be friends with Joel Bauer. And so that's my mission going into.
I want to be, and that's the thing too. Joel even talks about like, he doesn't want to have students. He wants to have peers.
Yeah.
So trying to be Joel's peer, trying to hang out with him on a day.
You have a game plan for that already? You already have a ninja.
Working on it.
You better start mapping that out with your little brain thing. Just set up a complete brain for how to become peers with Joel Bauer and just have this intricate freaking system in place.
Yeah.
But so going with intentions, and if your intention is there to actually learn, like, be present, don't be a shitty student like you were back in high school and middle school, guys. Like, actually, if someone's like, they're distracting you, like, say, hey, yeah, I'm here. Don't be like a buddy of ours who just kicked back and just fell asleep. Just fucking passes out in the middle of it.
I still have that photo too. That's he literally took his shoes off.
Just leans back and passes out in the middle of it. That was funny shit. Go there with intention, take really good notes. And then whenever you're done with the event, go back, review your notes, and then actually execute, right? Take whatever you want to do. If anything, just try to go and break even from everything that you learned. And then, because otherwise it's pointless, right? Actually go there, be a good student, be good at executing, right? And kind of like a tidbit gold nugget I'll leave with you guys that I use that helped me get, an amazing mentors, how I got, Sharon, and how we got people like Jason and stuff on the podcast, is I always like to, this is a huge gold nugget for you guys, right? I like to go back to the person. I like to go and execute to give value, right? So we talk a lot about getting value. So like, let's take, Wally's example. Hypothetically, right? If I don't know what level, if we were to say, what could Wally accomplish to give value to Joel Bauer, that's going to be worth it enough for him to perceive it as value, right? And let's say at Joel Bauer's level, the only way to get attention is Wally has to go out and make $1 million in a year, right? I don't know. Maybe the number's higher. Who cares? But if he were to actually go down, grind it, do all the tactics and stuff he learned from the event, which was free, by the way, free event, even if he didn't even pay for any of the upsells, right? And then go and actually execute. What do you think is going to go through Joel's mind when Wally sends him a testimonial video? Says, hey, 6 months ago, I attended your free event. You talked about this, this, and this. I want to show this to you. Check this out. I did the event. I did exactly how you said. I did this, and here was the result. We went and executed and went off and made $1.2 million. And I just wanted, if it's okay with you, I would like to actually go and can I film you from the event? Can I give you a case study? I'd love to film you an amazing testimonial video. And here's the proof of funds. Dude, this was all you. Thank you so much. Right. Because a lot of people fall into the trap when it comes to events. It's like, what do you give somebody that's wealthy? Right. Well, you give them recognition, you give them credibility. So that's what I did with Sharon, right? Sharon was one person who gave a tactic, and I was sitting there looking at my notes, and I'm like, none of these fucking people can go execute on this. Like, I'm just going to go do exactly what he said. And then I gave him value. I gave him a testimonial. He was so grateful. Then entered in his programs, and then, got to teach in his mastermind. Now he's like my mentor. Now I'm in one of his masterminds, right? We've become, we developed that relationship by giving value first. So I think if you're going to go and do events, if you're not there to execute this, it's fucking pointless. But if you do execute and you give results, guys, just make it a habit. Just reach out to the person at the event. Literally tell them what happened. Like, hey, because in their mind, I know this from experience, because I get frustrated with this, and I know they do too. They're sitting there looking, and they want to know who in their audience is going to actually like not get paralyzed and do what I fucking told them to, because they're frustrated knowing that they're giving you all this value and no one fucking does anything with it. And it pisses them off. They want good students. They want people who execute, right? And if they know that's you and they're just like, holy shit, right? Next thing you know, he's going to be like, yeah, I want to help Wally, either make him a student or become a peer and stuff. So that's kind of a good knowledge boner moment to end on, guys, when it comes to that's how you give value to high achievers. It's so simple. Just give them an amazing case study video. So cool. Awesome. Hope you guys saw a lot of value from today's episode. It was a lot of fun to talk about. And we will catch you guys on the next episode of the Knowledge Boner Experience. See you guys.